tonight, the conversation is about conversations. It's about having, ideally, we want to get to that point where we're talking about are there tough conversations we're having with our kids, and maybe we can brainstorm various ways to approach them. We did this training last year, and what we do is I start off going through just a number of slides. A lot of slides, they're really fast, but kind of orienting us back to like, before we engage in a complex conversation, what are like the fundamental kind of keys to effective communication? So I'm going to be reviewing that. I'm hoping maybe 15 minutes at the most. Um, Also, Anna is our social worker at Banner Creek. She's going to talk a little bit just about some of the supports we have in district related to students who might be targeted, the bullying conversation. And she's also going to probably talk a little bit about what bullying is and what it isn't, and so that we kind of understand the terminology. And as we kind of finish what our conversation is about that, then we're going to move to specifics. If there are things that anyone on the Zoom here would like to ask about, hey, I'm going through this, having a hard time talking to my child about this, or how might we approach something, Anna and I would be more than happy to kind of give some consult, and you know, we'll be there with you. So I'm gonna try and share my screen. What you're gonna see are a number of slides that are from a curriculum that we use called Base Education. We use this curriculum in this format for students who frequently now a lot of it has to do with alternatives to discipline, right? So if students get in trouble or make poor choices, they might go meet with a principal, and instead of suspension, a principal might assign one of these modules to kind of review, and it's kind of psychoeducational, it's academic in nature, but it's related to social emotional or some kind of social function, right? So we have over 100 modules, from anxiety to impulse control to good friendship decision making and such. Tonight, I pulled a lot of slides from the parent module related to communication. So that's what I'm going to be going through. And I will do my best to be succinct and quick. And if I'm half techie savvy, I'll be able to bump it up and we'll do a share. Um, yep, see, I'm sharing on another window. Stand by. Uh, if I bring this over here, maybe. But I'm looking for it in my queue here. Let's see if we could see it this time. I don't know why we're doing that, but what I'm gonna do is I have multiple screens up and my computer is doing a dance with me between screens. So I'm gonna try this one more time. Kathy, I think this happened last time. Or only as a tutorial on Zoom. Huh. Oh, there we go. Okay. Looking good. Perfect. I'm gonna do this through slideshow. I'd like to yeah, we'll go with that. Okay. This thing is not perfect. There we go. I gotta get everyone's pictures out of the way. All right, so I'm gonna jump into it. So this is from our module for adults when thinking about communication. If we want to get to have technical communications, if we want to have complex conversations with with our kids, we really need kind of the ABCs about what is effective communication. So this is designed to help us connect with our students, communicate effectively. We want our families to feel confident. We want to be supportive in implementing effective communication with our students. Everything we do is based on communication. Many kids don't realize how helpful healthy communication is until they learn how well to do it. And in order to like instruct them on healthy communication, we actually would like to, we need to be able to model that as well. Here. So in this spot, we would want to maybe have a conversation with families about defining healthy communication. I'm going to roll through this so that we can get to conversations that maybe you guys want to have. But in the meantime, healthy communication is a way to hear and be heard effectively. It's two ways, and there are definite problems we're going to run into if we're not healthy with our communication. Um, Even though our kids matter, we love them dearly. If we're not effective with our communication, they're not going to feel that they matter. They're not going to feel that that unconditional positive regard we have for them. Um, and we would, in any moment of any day, would say we don't want our kids to ever feel that way. We frequently hear this from students who maybe in tough times at school, no one listens to me, no one cares, no one hears me, no one understands. That's a really bad place for our students to be, and we want to be effective in the way we engage, such that these are not sentiments that they hold. They feel they're stupid, their opinion doesn't matter. This is not a place where we want our students to be. We want to be building them up. And so they want to be heard. They need to be heard and understood and valued, and they need to know it. And through healthy communication from us, we can build that and instill that in them. Um, this is talking about rating, your effectiveness. I'm going to keep going through this. Um, got people's faces in there. It's important to understand your value, your ability to contribute to conversations, and your ability to be heard. It's true for you and for our students as well. Communication is learned. So, kind of like I said, when we raise up our students to be healthy, functioning individuals, it's because we're modeling healthy, functioning communication. This is an example based. I mean, so this is something that people might come out that students might engage in, right? So this girl is upset when her friends are not including her on Saturday night. She feels hurt. She feels left out. This could happen to any primary, middle school, high school age student. Um, she calls her friends back and says, "Thanks a lot for inviting me on Saturday. It's cool, don't matter, whatever, whatever." This is a really normal, typical interaction that students may have with their peers, parents may have with their students back and forth. But fundamentally, this is a prime example of not really addressing feelings. If we're not addressing feelings, we're not communicating effectively. This is kind of an example of like passive, it's okay, it doesn't matter, whatever, whatever. When the truth is, we need to be more direct. We're going to be talking about being more direct. Um, and if individuals stay in that, hurt space and don't know how to communicate effectively, issues aren't going to be resolved. We can all relate to being angry, hurt, upset, frustrated, or sad, and really not knowing what to say without really getting upset. This is another example, that could occur when an individual asks somebody to go out with them and or wants to, and he didn't because he didn't know what to say, right? So I think when we have healthy communication in the home, we're modeling how to ask questions, how to appeal to people and such. So I'm not going to read this one. This is okay. What's important is our this there was another example about a student who didn't get his way and gets really aggressive and angry, right? It's important for us to know that it's all right for our students to feel the way they do. Everyone has a right to feel what they want. It's how we react to situations that may not really suit us. The problem isn't about how our people feel, how we feel, how our students feel. The problem is that they don't use good communication, and then they're not going to solve anything with kind of aggressive or externalizing um, behaviors. And it's really important to park and say that any one of us, I mean, we're talking about how to be effective and train our students to be communicators effectively. Every one of us as parents have moments where we are feeling angry or fearful or upset, and we're the ones that need to be able to regulate. It's okay for us to feel the way we feel, but we have to be use our intentional communication tools to communicate how we feel and still communicate acceptance with our students. Um, So here's some things that are going to be helpful to develop meaningful relationships. We want our students to know that being mature enough to have hard conversations. We want them to know that being mature enough to have hard conversations, even if you don't like the people you're speaking with or your situation. It's a skill that some people don't ever learn. Having hard conversations with the people we love, having hard conversations with people we don't care for. This is a skill to be developed. Building strengths and developing tools. Move faces again. Communication's made up of many parts, and we're going to review some of those right now. Body language. This is how you hold your body during an interaction. Believe it or not, 90% of communication is your body language. And we learn body language at a very young age, and usually it's our families that are teaching us how to or modeling for us, body language. When we say body language, talking about how a person uses their body when talking often says much more than their words do. Body language includes things like smiling, frowning, staring, glaring, looking away, crossing your arms, rolling your eyes, leaning away, or leaning in too much, right? So when we're having a conversation, it's really important to be aware of like, what is my body communicating in this moment? Some examples would be crossing your arms, rolling your eyes, like we said, not looking at someone directly when they're talking tells them that you're not really listening or you're too upset to listen. um, Giving dirty looks. These are all natural things that our kids are going to do. They're natural things that we could do if we're in a weak state. When I say a weak state, I'm in a weakened state. I'm not thinking clearly. If like my kids get me really upset and riled up, sometimes I need to take space because I don't want my face to be an angry face. I don't want my body to be too close, too far away, or communicating something other than the fact that I love them. And it's okay for me to tell my kids, I'm really upset right now. That really hurt my feelings. I'm really disappointed. But they're watching how you move your body. They're watching, everything about your affects. So if we want to be effective in communicating our disappointment or frustration or whatever, we have to manage our body language. Clenching teeth, making fists, any kind of aggressive um, leaning is not going to be success. Is not going to lead to successful communication. I have a son, a young man who is now 21, and it's really difficult because as a man and a son and in high school, if he gets angry, sometimes it's like baby wolf and a big wolf, and the baby wolf wants to try big wolf, and big wolf has to show, mm-mm, I don't have to show him that I'm stronger than him. I don't have to show him that I could intimidate him or I have physical superiority. Because in that moment, if I'm frustrated with him and he's kind of getting frustrated with me, my number one goal is to be successful in communicating how I feel, understanding that there could have been something that happened, but conveying to my son that this is what we want to have in this situation, or this is what we talked about, and you did exactly what I told you not to do, right? Whatever that moment is, if he's upset, I have to make myself be in check that I don't have to over emphasize physicality or whatever. And that's the thing that I think dads could experience with their sons. Maybe daughters, my daughter's not been that way, but my son has been able to at times express his anger in a way that like I have to take a deep breath because if I don't, I might, want to make my point, want him to hear me, but also let him know that I'm grown. You can't come at me like that, right? If I am clenching fists or such, this is going to be counterproductive to any healthy conversation I want. And I'll just say it. I am trained as a school psychologist. I've been doing it 20 years, and my son could get me riled up, and I have to take a breath sometimes. I have to step away because when I do engage in telling him that he broke the rules or we need to do something different or impose a consequence, I still want him to know that I love him. And if he gets mad because he's learning how to regulate, I need to make sure that I'm regulated with my emotions. And we'll maybe talk with some parents in a little bit if this is something they've dealt with, students that are kind of physically getting riled up. Negative body language, other things could be if you're sighing, you're kind of discounting. If you're pointing, this could be aggressive. Um, and this is all kind of academic with communication. Everybody probably knows it, but we're taking time right now to come out of whatever day we've had to discuss effective communication. And this is getting back to basics because we have to have our basics dialed in if we're going to have tricky conversations with our kids. Um, so yeah, there's other things I could say, but I want to keep moving through. Positive body language, sitting with your hands in your lap, that shows that you're open to conversation. Nodding, that's like reciprocal communication. I hear you. Facing the person and not looking away. is really important. And if we're busy families, we got things going on in the house, our child is trying to tell us something, it's really important that we're making eye contact and making sure that our body language is saying, I hear you, I'm with you in this conversation. Or if you have to turn away to do something, hey, I'm going to turn away. I got to finish. I don't know if it's cooking dinner. I'm listening to you right now. Um, Keeping your lips closed says that, hey, I want to hear you out, right? But if you're kind of starting to move your mouth a little bit, it could put a damper on whatever communication your child is trying to level in your direction. Um, Sitting up straight. Um, yeah. So when your body language is positive and open, that's most of the work. When you are calm, you're going to have a good conversation regarding whatever it is that we need to discuss. Mm, Being angry is okay. Everyone needs to be heard. It's really about how we say what it is that we're saying. Sometimes that's more important than the what. Um, there are obviously limits, right? So, if maybe your child is trying to communicate, maybe they're angry, frustrated, and the emotions are getting too high. Sometimes we need to time out, right? We're not going to be disrespectful to each other. We're not going to be mean or rude, and we need to take some space. We can back away because we would do that in any situation, whether it's with our kids or coworkers or whatever. We still have to maintain some kind of respect in our various environments that we're in. Tone is huge. Tone is a big piece. A negative tone makes is making sounds or talking in a way that can harm a conversation. Again, the reason why we want to be effective communicators is because there are things that are going to occur with our kids, and we want to be technical and intentional about the words we use and our body language and our tone. Um, if we're being too loud, that's going to be out of sync with trying to be an effective communicator with our kids. If we're too quiet, um, I think talking quieter, right? It could kind of shut down the conversation too. It could show some kind of lack of engagement. It's really important to try and bring our children into a effective tonal space and then match them there. Really talking with attitude, saying words like whatever, I know already. When we say those in a calm environment as adults, we're like, I wouldn't say that. I would never say whatever or walk away from my child. I have made mistakes like walk away and just say whatever, and it's very dismissive. It is damaging to the actual health of the relationship. So it's really important to kind of monitor these pieces. Using a positive tone, it's going to show the other person you can control yourself without throwing a tantrum because it's very possible we could have an emotionally elevated conversation and we need to manage ourselves with tone and kind of match a respectful level. Mm, yeah, we need to hear and respond to them like mature folks. We want them to be mature. We need to make sure that our emotions are in check so that we can be mature as well. And there are moments when you might get information like, my student did what at school? My student said what to the teacher? And I could blow my top anytime I would get a report that maybe my child was disrespectful at school because we teach respect in the home, right? And so controlling myself because even though I'm wildly upset with my son doing something or my daughter saying something to a teacher that is inappropriate, we have to figure out how to get to a spot where we acknowledge the mistake and we're moving on to make better choices. Um, okay, the words are the final piece. Words are about how you express yourself. They can be positive, they can be negative. Negative comments are going to are not going to get your point across, right? Negative body tone, language, all of that is not going to be helpful for um, good, healthy communication. It's important to say what we need to say, not necessarily what we want to say. Frequently, I think that means mostly we don't want our conversations to be driven by our emotion. We need to lock our emotion down and speak with what we know is important in our head. We know right and wrong in our head, and we want to teach that to our children. And we also know that we want to get that across. So these are the effective communication tools that we need to use. Um, Sometimes if you say what you want you'll drop some words that might not make people want to listen to you or might, be negative, counterproductive to the conversation. It's really important to focus on what we want to accomplish if we're having a conversation. If there is a mistake that happened at school and inappropriate behavior or conduct, let's focus on, okay, this is what happened. How do we want to fix it? What do we want to do next time? Right? We're always talking about like a solution focused approach that, hey, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. Let's move on. What are we going to do next time? I think this is about being passive aggressive, but this one right here, watch your words. You don't want your message to be hidden by your words. Passive aggressive also, but that kind of is sometimes tone, sometimes it's your language. It's really easy to be that way when we've been engaging with our kids over the same thing over and over again, right? We want to be really careful. Some things to avoid, name calling, bringing up the past. That's really tricky because, we really want to make corrections, set new goals. And if we keep bringing up the past, that's not going to be productive for a connected relationship with our children. Um, Speaking in absolutes, these words make it sound like the person is always bad or never good. Language is hurtful and can make some feel like giving up on the talk. Most people are good most of the time and make mistakes sometimes. Try not to make it seem like the bad things are all you can see. And when we work with teaching staff in the district, we're always trying to encourage our staff to have like a 4-to-1 positive engagement. We want our students to have um, for every one time we have to correct them or tell them maybe something is wrong, we want to make sure we're having positive engagements with them as well. That's a huge piece to invest in a relationship. When we invest in a relationship, when we use effective communication tools, we're going to be successful in navigating difficult conversations. I'm going to go ahead and stop. I have a number of slides after that, but that just puts us in a frame of reference to when, we talk about having conversations with our kids that are difficult. We want to make sure that, yes, we're using these tools, but consistently. In the school, when we're working with teaching staff, one of the things that we talk about all these communication skills that need to be in place at school and at home. We talk about consistency and predictability. When we are consistently calm in situations, our students are going to expect that, and then they're going to feel more safe to engage in a conversation with us that might not be easy. And I think consistency and predictability are wildly important in the home. I have one of my children was very easy, 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 easy. One of them was very different. I had all kinds of ideas about my son and the relationship we're gonna have and the things we're gonna do. He's just a very different individual. Our gears grind sometimes, frequently, just because our temperaments are different, our personalities are different. I literally have to decide when I'm going to jam him up or catch him on like not doing his chores or doing something I didn't ask him to do because the way it is, sometimes I feel like I'm always going to be on top of him. I have to figure out how to make that ratio of like positive interactions with him. And so I really encourage everyone to think like if you ever hit a space where like I am always on top of my child, that's real, that's okay. I think the one thing that I would consult on would be like, have to figure out how to move the ratio still. Have to figure out how to compliment. Have to figure out how to say thank you so much for putting your shoes in the box and not leaving them right outside the door where I'm going to trip over them, right? Simple things. Thank you so much for cleaning up your bathroom or helping out with the dishes, which, some of us think is just expected. That ratio is really important. Um, I'll go ahead and stop. We got started a little late and I might have went a little bit longer than I wanted to. Those are a lot of the academics of effective communication. Before we jump into Anna, because she's going to talk a little bit about um, Boolean orientation to us, does anybody have any reactions to what was said or anybody have anything specific they'd like us to follow up on? Because I'm going to be on the Zoom. We could stay after Anna does her thing. We can talk about lots of specific things, but anything up front that's percolating in anybody's mind. I did a lot of talking. I'm sorry. Okay. I appreciate everybody being here. A lot of people maybe on doing other things, listening in the background. I'm gonna turn it over to Anna. She's gonna talk a little bit about what bullying is, what it isn't, resources that we have. Why would we talk about healthy communication and bullying in the same meeting? I think that bullying is um, it's poor communication, it's poor choices. But if a student is a victim of bullying, they need to know how to express what they're feeling and what's going on. And I think that we need to, if it's not bullying, because she's going to define what bullying is, communication is wildly important if we have some negative, if our kids are having negative interactions at school, for us to talk to them in a calm way, because we have conflicts at school all the time, and someone might call it bullying. It might actually be just poor choices of words, poor engagement, again, poor communication at school. And we really want to be supportive to them in those moments when something tough is happening at school, be effective communicator. So, Miss Farrell, you want to jump in,
Yeah.
share your screen and talk to us a little bit about this?
Yes, I would love to. For those of you who came in late, I'm Anna Farrell. I'm the school social worker at Bannon Creek School. And I do think it's a good segue from Earl's presentation because I also think that bullying is a conversation, a difficult conversation that you can and should have with your kids. There's Mr. Kolak here as well. He's my assistant principal at my school. And we actually recently had a situation where a student claimed she was being bullied, and we're meeting with the family. And it came out that she was also doing some of the bullying, and the parents had no idea. So that led to like a really good, challenging conversation that they could have with her. And that situation is not in isolation.
Mhm.
We have these situations all the time where there's claims of bullying, and we have to really investigate and figure out what's really going on. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let me make sure everyone can see it. Can we see it? We're all good? All right. So to reorient around bullying, two of our district goals, number 2 and 3, are to cultivate the social emotional well-being of each student and create a safe, engaging environment where students connect to school. So this is obviously why it's very important to target bullying and to get to the bottom of it. So we'll be talking about what is bullying, the 4 types of bullying, and teaching children how to respond. These are the conversations that you can have with your kids, and also review the bullying prevention resources. So what is bullying? Like Earl said, this term gets thrown out a lot, but this is really the definition. So one person or multiple are intentionally hurting or harming another with words or behaviors, and it has to fit into these 4 categories. The behavior is being done on purpose. The person being hurt has a hard time making it stop. The behavior is repeated or has the potential to be repeated. And this last one is super important. The kids who are doing it have more power. So obviously, power can mean a lot of things. But some examples of having more power could mean the person doing the bullying is older, bigger, stronger, more popular, or maybe there's a group of kids who are ganging up on one particular student. So this is the general definition, and then we'll get into the specific types of bullying. So physical bullying is the one that I think most of us are already aware of. Includes hitting, kicking, tripping, anything that someone is physically doing to another student. So looking back at the last slide, just because someone, maybe a student slaps another student in class, that might not actually qualify as bullying. That's absolutely not okay, and that's something that needs to be addressed by the school 100%. And there needs to be consequences for that. But if it's like a one-time thing, that actually doesn't qualify as bullying. Another one that most people are aware of is verbal bullying. So this is one that I've seen a lot at the elementary and middle school level that I work in. Insulting or demeaning language to mock, embarrass, or insult another person. So this could include verbally bullying someone for being part of the LGBTQ community. It could be about their appearance. It could be about their socioeconomic status, about their gender, about their race. So those are the things where those repeated insults that are targeted and the person making them has power over the person who they are saying these things to. Social bullying. So this is spreading rumors or purposefully excluding someone from a group or embarrassing someone on purpose. So we do see this a lot, I would say, especially at the middle and high school level, but across all levels, honestly. The rumors can really hurt someone's reputation and their mental health, actually. And also excluding someone purposefully. That can really, really, really impact someone. Cyberbullying has been the big hot topic, I feel like, for the last few years as kids are getting more access to technology and phones. So this would be sending, posting, or sharing negative, harmful, false, or mean content about someone. And we will just, so physical bullying, I think we mostly know what that one is. It could also include taking or breaking another person's things. Emotional and verbal. This could also include name calling, threatening someone, definitely. If someone's being threatened, that's something that should definitely be reported immediately. Laughing at someone, that's one that kind of gets you know, named a lot as bullying, especially I would say from like TK to third grade. Like some of the students are very sensitive to people laughing at them. But oftentimes we have to do more investigating to see like, was it really targeted? Was it really repeated? Was it someone that had more power? Or was it just someone laughing and the student took it a certain way? Social bullying. So we kind of covered this one, but it could also be, I have seen this situation, a group of students telling someone not to be friends with another person. And I've also heard of like, a student walking in late to class and all the other students like make comments like, ew, you're here, like just really hurtful things, but where they all kind of do it as a group together against one person. Okay. And then cyberbullying, this could be sending mean text messages, sending or posting pictures that are not yours to share. So that's something I like to make very clear to students is you absolutely should never be posting anything that's not yours. Like I had a situation at my last district where I worked where a student shared on social media like a baby photo of another student that was kind of embarrassing for that student. And so she actually ended up getting in trouble because her doing that led to bullying of that student. So never sharing things that are not your own photos or ideas. And then also making negative comments online about someone. So we know that Instagram, Snapchat, all of those things you can like comment on things. So that can actually, if it goes too far, can actually turn into cyberbullying. So the impacts of bullying, low self-esteem, fear, loneliness, social isolation. It can actually lead to depression and anxiety, changes in sleep and eating patterns. We all have seen news stories which are horrifying, and hopefully this will not happen, but of suicidal ideation or even students who do end their life because of bullying. So that's why we really want to emphasize to kids how serious this issue is and how they can actually stand up to bullying, which I will get into in a moment. Decreased academic achievement. So these are just some warning signs to look out for with your child or your children when they're coming home. If they're coming home with like torn, damaged, or missing pieces of clothing, books, or other belongings, if they have unexplained cuts, bruises, and scratches, because a lot of times kids don't want to tell people that they are being bullied because they're worried, if I tell my parent's going to call the school, which that is the right thing to do. We'll get to that in a moment. Um, However, kids see that as like a really bad option because they're worried about more bullying or retaliation if the bullying does get reported. So these are things to kind of look out for and ask them about. If they seem afraid of going to school or taking part in organized activities with peers, if they take a long, illogical route when walking to school, if your child walks to school, they might be avoiding certain people. If they complain about frequent headaches, stomach aches, or other ailments. These things can also be related to a lot of other things. So just because you see some of these, it does not necessarily mean bullying. However, it's just good to be on the lookout in case that is what's occurring to be aware of what might be going on with your child. Just a few more. If they don't have a lot of friends, that's definitely a warning sign to look out for. If they've lost interest in schoolwork, um, if they appear anxious or have low self-esteem, or if they come home sad, teary, or depressed, and maybe that wasn't how they used to come home. So if that's like a new thing. So these are just things that could trigger one of those challenging conversations that Earl was talking about. If you're noticing any of these things, how to sit down with your kid and just figure out what's going on with them, what's causing these things. So what can parents do? What can you all do? You can take bullying seriously. One of the things I've heard a few times this year is kids telling their parents that they're being bullied, and the parents saying, "Oh, just ignore them. Just ignore them." Sometimes that is doable, but if the bullying is real bullying, meaning it's targeted, it's ongoing, it's repeated, ignoring isn't really solving the problem. So I'll talk about in a minute a better way that you can talk to your kids about bullying. Teaching kids to treat others with respect and kindness and modeling that behavior outside of school so that they're seeing how the adults in their life treat others with respect and kindness. Learning about your child's social life, learning about who their friends are, maybe even meeting their friends' parents, just to make sure that they're surrounding themselves with positive peers. Encourage good behavior always, and communicate with the school if you suspect it might be occurring. Another thing you can talk to your kids about is teaching them not to be a bystander. So your kid might not be being bullied, but they might be witnessing bullying on a daily basis. So these are some things to talk to them about, encouraging them not to laugh when they see bullying, because that only encourages the bully. And also talking to them about not encouraging the bully in any way. So don't give them their positive attention. They might not want to be friends with someone who's doing bullying. You also really want to emphasize not to have for your kid not to videotape bullying. One issue that a lot of schools these days face is students filming fights and then posting them online. So that's something we're really, really trying to avoid. So encouraging at our school specifically, kids are not supposed to have their phones out at all, but I know at other schools, I'm not sure the policies. So just encouraging them, no videotaping. And encouraging them as well not to make a video and post it online, like I just said. This really continues the cycle of bullying and makes it a lot harder for the victim. It's already hard enough for them what they're going through, but if it's posted online, it's a lot more damaging for them. Oops. Teaching your kids how to be an upstander. So this is a really positive conversation that you could all have with your kids. How to be an upstander. It's a really hard thing to do, even for adults, when you see something happening that's not right, depending on your level of personal confidence, depending on experiences that you might have had in your life, it can be really hard to stand up for those things. But this is something that I think is a really cool opportunity to teach our kids. So an upstander is someone who speaks out or takes action on behalf of someone else. So some things that your kids can do if they see someone being bullied, they can be available for conversation. They can ask that person that they saw being bullied later on or whenever if they would like to talk to them, and they can listen to them, ask them questions, and offer their support. Like, hey, I saw that. That wasn't cool. Do you want to talk about what happened? Do you want me to help you go get an adult? they can help the victim in that way. Also, teaching them to respond with kindness and inclusion. So, expressing that they're there for the victim, reaching out to them and saying hi, because sometimes victims of bullying might feel isolated or alone. So, you can teach your kid to just say hi to everyone in their class, even if it's not their friend. They could also, if they want to, they could invite that person, the victim, to hang out or be friends with them. Um, I remember hearing of an award at one school that I worked at where they literally gave a kid an award for going over to a student who was sitting alone at lunch and just asking him if he wanted to come and join his friend group and sit with them. So those things go a long way, especially if someone's already being bullied. To have someone reach out to them and invite them to join really, really goes a long way for just their own well-being and their sense of safety and connection at school. Redirecting the situation. So if your child is seeing bullying in the moment, if they feel comfortable and it's safe to, they can help the victim get away. So if someone is relentlessly making fun of another student and your child feels comfortable, they could go to the student and be like, "Hey, come over here. Like let's walk over here." They could also just change the subject if they see bullying occurring out on the yard or in the classroom. They can also go find an adult. That's a really, really safe and good way to be an upstander. If you see bullying, instead of ignoring it, going and getting an adult to help. So, and the last one is encouraging others to come together against bullying. So, just, encouraging your kid to talk to their friends and other people about how they can all work together when they see bullying happen. Another thing you can teach your kids if they see cyberbullying going on, they should report the bullying content to the social media platform. So that's you can usually on most platforms, if there's something inappropriate or bullying, you can report it, and the platform will investigate it and take it down if it does qualify as bullying. Avoid liking or sharing negative posts. So again, they're kids. Um, a lot of kids want attention. They want to be part of things, but just talking to them about how liking or sharing negative posts or posts that are bullying can actually get them in trouble as well. And also, it's really harmful for the victim when they see people liking or sharing posts about them. Encouraging them to be a friend, so like contacting the person that's being bullied and let them know they're there for them. And then also taking a screenshot of the bullying and reporting it to a parent or adult at the school. So that's really important because cyberbullying is really hard for us at school to get to the bottom of a lot of times if we don't have screenshots because kids can just delete things. So if we don't have all the evidence, it's hard for us to kind of do a full investigation. So you can talk to your kid about screenshotting things that they see that might be bullying or inappropriate and then reporting it. So how to help your child with reporting. So a lot of times, I'm sure Mr. Kolak, as the assistant principal, gets claims where students come in and they have these kind of general statements, but it's hard to really figure out, is it bullying? So instead of just coming in and saying they're bullying me, they said I was weird, teacher, they cut me in line. These are some examples that we hear about. Instead, coming in with very specific things, such as they keep making fun of me, calling me names, giving the specific names, even after I told them how I felt and told them to stop. Can you please help me? Or another example, I don't feel safe around that person because they always hurt me. Can you please help me? So we have to do our own investigation first and ask a lot of questions to figure out if it is bullying. But the more details, the easier it is for us to do our investigation. Okay. Also, reminding your child before reporting bullying, make sure they've gone through some of these steps. So, is the person bothering me over and over, even after I ask them to stop? If it was a one-time thing, that's probably something that they can use their words to try and ask them to stop, use their I statements, which is talking about how it makes them feel when the person says things like that. And did they try to solve the problem by themselves first? So, asking them to stop, asking the teacher before going to the office and reporting. There's safe adults on campus. So, of course, the administration, the high schools have counselors, teachers, office staff, supervision staffs, and the social workers. We're all available for students to talk to if they want to, figure out if it is bullying or not. We're all there to help them with that. And then these are the resources. So, this is all on the district website. But essentially, here on the district website is the online report bullying incident form. Earl, did you want me to actually click into these or just cover them? Oh, wait, you're on mute.
If you want to if you want to pop up the district website and just roll to it really quick, you can show.
Okay. So this, are you able to see it?
Yes.
So this is the incident form. So you can submit this and it will get to your school, your child's school administration. So that's that one. And then I thought there was, hold on. Oh, here's the other one. And then here is the district
Hmm.
bullying prevention and resources page. And this is, you can find the incident report here. And it also gives the bullying prevention manual and some other, these were some posters that were anti-bullying posters that were created. And then there's a lot of resources down here about reporting and preventing bullying, FAQs. Was there any specific ones that you wanted me to cover, Earl?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So that was a lot of us talking about communication and information about bullying and resources and understanding the difference. We're here to have any conversation with any parent, if we need to check in or if there's something that someone might be going through at home, we'd want to be supportive here, and we could even talk offline. But this is a space if there's some topics that are difficult. Anna and I are happy to